I'm Hande the dietitian, and welcome to Healthy Made Simple, where I show you how to make healthy eating simple. In this video, I will be showing you my ground turkey rice bowls. Now, this one is a hearty meal, so if you're looking for something that's really filling, but also healthy and balanced at the same time, this is definitely one of those types of meals. Now, with the rice bowl, we're going to be doing a jasmine brown rice. That's going to be a tomato rice. We're going to be cooking up some ground turkey and then adding in toppings that are going to be veggies and some chickpeas to really round it out and make this a filling meal. And the nice part about this is that you can make few of the components in advance. For example, you can cook your ground turkey in advance, you can make your rice in advance to make it really easy for you to pull this together on a weeknight without having to spend too much time on it. Now, rice bowls are, of course, a great dish. A lot of restaurants that sell rice bowls tend to have some sort of an option that's going to have a rice with veggies and a protein. But what I find when I'm eating rice bowls out at a restaurant is that it never tends to be balanced. It never really gets to that half of the plate to be veggies. It typically is very heavy in the rice with some protein and some veggies. And we can certainly fix that if we're making this at home and getting more out of our money as well too. You can easily make a big batch of rice, a big batch of ground turkey for probably less than the amount that you would be spending if you were to get this at a restaurant. So one, you can make a much bigger bulk so that you have not only dinner, but leftover for lunch the next day or even for a few days. And number two, you can make this a lot more balanced and healthy at home by keeping your rice portion sizes smaller, aiming for about a quarter of that plate, making sure you get plenty of protein in there, at least a quarter of your plate to be protein, and then half of your plate to be veggies to make this a really filling but healthy meal. If you're interested to see how I put together these ground turkey rice bowls, stay tuned for more. Alrighty, let's go.
All right, let's start by making the tomato rice. So I'm going to start by dicing 4 large tomatoes, and these are tomatoes on the vine, and I'm going to dice them up pretty small and make sure you retain all of that tomato juice that comes out of it, as that's going to be part of our cooking liquid for the rice. And I'm going to start by adding some olive oil, and that's going to go into this hot pot that I have. So I warmed up the pot already. I'm adding oil to that, and we're going to saute up the rice a little bit and the tomatoes a little bit first before we add in all the water. All right, first let's add our tomatoes to this hot oil just to cook up the tomatoes a little bit and make it almost like a tomato sauce that's going to be used for the rice. And once I've got my tomatoes in there, I'm going to salt and pepper it so that we have nice seasoning. I'll first go in by adding salt. And again, with salt, I just do, a certain number of rounds from my grinder as I see fit, as I feel like would be appropriate for the amount. I typically like to go lower in salt as much as possible while still making it delicious. All right, we're going to mix that together once we've added the salt and pepper. And then into that mixture, next is going to be crushed garlic. And these are frozen crushed garlic cubes. And I'm going to be adding 4 cubes of this. You can certainly add more. You can definitely always do more garlic to make this a more garlicky rice. And I'm going to let those garlic cubes melt in there. And here's the rice we're going to use. This is brown jasmine rice. And I got this from Trader Joe's, but any sort of rice that you have will work for this. And we're using 2 cups of rice for this recipe to make a nice big batch. And this made a lot of rice. All right, once I add the rice into my tomatoes, we're going to mix that together. And that's going to need to cook up just a little bit so that tomato sauce, about 1 to 2 minutes, so that tomato flavor starts getting absorbed into the rice. And then after that, we're going to add in 3 cups of water. Now, if you have juicy tomatoes, stop right here. I added in another half cup, which was too much water and it became a little bit too mushy. So 3 cups of water is good for 2 cups of rice if you have really juicy tomatoes. That's what I should have done. Give that a nice mix together, and then we're going to cover it with lid and cook it according to the instructions. And this is the rice that I ended up with. So I'd cooked the rice in advance and had it in a container. And this also helps lower the glycemic index of rice as well, to cook it in advance and store it in the fridge. And let's build our rice bowl. So I'm going to start by adding in that rice to the bottom. And I do a little bit more for my husband and less for me. And then next is going to be the ground turkey that's going to go in. So let me show you how I cooked up this ground turkey. I started out with some olive oil again into my hot pan. And you can use a pot or a pan for this. This is a pot because this is what I had that was big enough to fit what I was going to be cooking. And then into that is going to be next diced onions. You can absolutely just dice an onion yourself. This is 10 ounces of diced onions that are going in here. So that would probably be about 1 onion if you were dicing it up yourself. And you're going to cook that for about 1 to 2 minutes until it starts becoming a little translucent. And then into that, we're going to add in crushed garlic. And with this, I'm going to do 8 cubes of crushed garlic because I really want that garlic flavor to go into my ground turkey, since ground turkey can be pretty not as flavorful. All right, we're going to mix that and cook that for 1 to 2 minutes. And then next is going to be the ground turkey that's going in, and I'm using this all natural fresh ground turkey that's going to be going in there, and I'm cooking 3.5 pounds of ground turkey. Now this was a big batch I made that was used for 2 different recipes, and I only used half for the rice bowls. So only half of this 3.5 pounds of ground turkey got used for the rice bowls. The rest was something else. And then now I'm going to go in with my seasonings. This is the organic no salt seasoning, and I get this from Costco, and I go pretty heavy on that. It has a really nice flavor. Next is everything seasoning by Flavor God. This does have some salt, but it's pretty low in sodium compared to some of the other everything seasonings out there. Next is going to be garlic powder. Even though we did add those crushed garlic in there, I still like to add in garlic powder for more garlicky flavor, and really want to flavor up this ground turkey as much as possible. And then next goes my chopped onions, and these are chopped onion flakes, and I really like the flavor of this in addition to those fresh onions that were chopped that we had already added in there. And then after this, it's going to be paprika. So a little bit of smoked paprika just to add more color to it. I don't like to go too heavy on the paprika because then it really tastes like paprika. So right around there looks pretty good to me. All right. And then salt is going to be next. Now there was some salt in some of the components that I added in, especially that everything seasoning. So I'm not going too heavy on the salt. I try to keep it low sodium as much as possible. And then of course, black pepper. And we're going to do couple rounds of my grinder to add some black pepper in there. So this is really well seasoned and it tastes good without having too much salt in it. Alrighty, so let's give that a mix together. And this is probably the hardest part about cooking ground meat, is getting all those spices to mix in and then breaking it up. So you want to cook this until it's no longer pink and it's absorbed all of those juices that you're seeing at the bottom. So you just want to mix and break it up periodically as it's cooking. If you have a big pan, this works even better because then there's more surface area. And then that water, like I said, at the bottom should be reabsorbed back into it. So it should look relatively on the drier side. And there you go. There's that ground turkey. So that was cooked in advance, stored in a container to be used the night of to build these bowls. All right, so on top of the rice, I'm going to add a pretty heaping portion of ground turkey because I do want this to be higher in protein. And then next, we've got some chickpeas that have been seasoned. So let me show you how I did that. And I'm going to start with a can of chickpeas, and we're going to add that to our strainer and really wash and rinse that until all the bubbles are gone. And you can see there are more and more bubbles the more I do this. So take your time, go through it thoroughly to make sure you get all the bubbles out to remove the canning liquid. And then you're going to put your chickpeas in a bowl once they've been rinsed and drained. And then we're going to season it. So I'm going to start by adding in some olive oil. You want to coat that in olive oil. I do a couple rounds like that. And then next is going to be lemon juice. This is the juice of about half a lemon. I personally prefer it more on the lemony side. You can gauge it based on whatever you prefer. And then you're going to do salt next. Again, this is going to be to taste. No specific measurements here. And then you're going to do black pepper as well to season it up. And the seasoning in this is very simple, and this is a really nice component to add to rice bowls for a little bit of extra protein and some legumes in there too. All right, so our chickpeas are ready. We're going to add that on top once everything has been mixed around. And you can certainly, you'll see that olive oil drizzle at the bottom. You can add that to your bowl too. All right, next we're going to add in shredded lettuce, and this is pre-shredded iceberg lettuce. You can use any sort of leafy greens for this. This was just the easiest one that kind of mixes in, and that's a big portion of it. And then I'm going to pack my lunch away now. As you can see, I do my lunch as I'm going through. So I have a lunch for me and my husband, and I'm going to close up the lids and get that stuck in the fridge so my lunch is already ready to go for the next day. Now, in terms of what's going on top, we're going to go with tzatziki. So this is going to be finishing up the tzatziki we had used earlier in the week. And I just dollop the tzatziki on top because I end up mixing all of this together to eat it all blended together, and use as much tzatziki as works for you. I do like a decent amount of tzatziki, and I'm using the vegan one for myself as a lactose-free option to help prevent some bloating that comes with regular dairy. And we're going to give that a mix together and it'll be ready to go. It's that simple. So as long as you're making your rice and turkey in advance, putting this together on a weeknight is super easy to do. And there is a delicious bite of this ground turkey rice bowl.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video helped give you a good idea about how you can make rice bowls at home. And you can certainly change up the ingredients. You can change up the rice. It doesn't have to be tomato rice. You can do plain rice, you can do a multi-grain rice, you can do a mix with quinoa even, or cauliflower rice to really change up the rice portion. You can certainly change up the protein too. It doesn't have to be ground turkey. You can do chicken or even fish instead. And then of course you can change up the veggies that are going in there too. But I do recommend having some sort of a leafy green in there to really make this almost like a rice salad type of a meal so that you get some leafy greens along with the other veggies that you're adding in. Thank you so much for watching Healthy Made Simple. If you have not already done so, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more videos like this coming down the line with easy and healthy ways of making meals at home and snacks at home to help you lead a more balanced lifestyle. Thank you again so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.